In the cold dark of Sector Delta 7, a single Karn warship sliced through the void like a blade. The Fury Claw, black, spiked, and battle-scarred, had conquered dozens of worlds. Its crew was restless, hungry for new prey. Captain Zorak, towering and armored in deep red scales, stood on the bridge with his arms crossed behind his back. His yellow eyes flicked across the star map projected in front of him. "Anything?" he asked, voice low but firm. The sensors officer, a smaller Karn with silver horns, shook his head. "Still nothing. Empty system. Dead star. One gas giant. Scattered debris." Zorak growled softly. This patrol had dragged on too long without blood or profit. The Dominion didn't pay for silence. Just as he turned to leave the bridge, the officer perked up. "Wait, Captain. I have something." Zorak snapped back around. "Speak." "Object detected. Small vessel. Drifting. No power readings. It's human." The bridge fell silent. "A human ship. Here? Alone?" Zorak grinned, sharp teeth showing. "Send visuals." The main screen flickered to life. There it was. A long, battered ship, floating slowly through space. It didn't move. No lights, no shields, no weapons charged. Just a cold hull wrapped in ancient metal. It looked dead. "ID match?" Zorak asked. The officer checked. "Negative. No match in our records. Hull design is old. Possibly pre-unification human era. Civilian class." The crew chuckled. "Lost in time," someone muttered. "A relic," said another. "Or a trap," growled First Officer Raz, stepping up beside Zorak. Raz was bigger than most Karns and twice as paranoid. "Too easy." Zorak shook his head. "We've seen their tricks. This isn't one of them. That's scrap." He turned to the helmsman. "Bring us in. Slowly. Alert the boarding crew." The Fury Claw moved closer. The stars shifted as they approached the silent ship. No response. No movement. Not even a signal. "Still nothing," said the comms officer. "No distress call. Not even automated beacons. This thing's been dead a long time." The Karn crew prepared to board. 15 armored warriors loaded into the shuttle bay, weapons ready. Zorak watched from the bridge, satisfied. But then, a flicker. Just for a second, the human ship's lights turned on. Faint. Blue. Only a few panels lit up, then vanished again. The entire bridge went quiet. "What was that?" Raz asked. The sensor officer frowned. I don't know. Could have been a power surge. Internal backup, maybe. But I didn't detect any energy buildup." "It looked deliberate," someone whispered. Zorak's eyes narrowed. "Doesn't matter. They're defenseless. Proceed." The Karn shuttle launched, crossing the gap to the ghost ship. It latched onto the airlock and hissed as pressure equalized. Boarding team entered, weapons high. "Bridge to strike 1, status?" A moment passed. Then another. Nothing. "Strike 1, report." Still silence. "Captain," the comms officer said, his voice tense now. "Their signals, they've stopped. All of them. No vitals. No data. No sound." "Did they lose comms?" "No. They have vanished. Their suits are still online, but no one's home." A low growl filled the bridge. Zorak's claws tapped the rail beside him. "Recall the shuttle. They aren't responding." Zorak's blood turned cold for a moment. "Scan the ship again." The sensor tech's hands danced over his console. He squinted. Power readings are still at 0. No movement. No defense systems detected. "Then where did my soldiers go?" "I don't know, sir." Zorak stared at the dead ship. The hull didn't move. There were no weapons pointed at them. Just waited. Something wasn't right. This wasn't how humans fought. He had faced them before, aggressive, messy, predictable. But this was quiet, cold, surgical. "What is this thing?" he whispered. The crew didn't have an answer. Just then, the screen flashed. The human ship sent a message. No sound, no video, just 3 words, glowing red against the black. "We see you." Zorak didn't speak. No one did. Out in the black, the human ship began to move. No engines flared. No thrusters fired. It simply shifted. One moment it was in front of them. The next it was gone. Then it reappeared 200 kilometers away. Still drifting. Still silent. But no longer helpless. And far from dead. Zorak's eyes narrowed. Call engineering. Prep the plasma cannons. I want that thing gone. Sir, said the helmsman, voice shaking. What if it's not a ship? Zorak didn't answer. Because in his gut he already feared the truth. Whatever they had just woken up wasn't meant to be found. The Fury Claw's boarding shuttle floated lifeless beside the silent human vessel. No one on board responded. The 15 Karn warriors who had entered minutes ago were now gone. Captain Zorak stood still at the center of the bridge, fists clenched, eyes locked on the screen showing the dark hull of the human ship. It looked no different than before. Quiet, cold, empty. But something had changed. Something was wrong, and even the air on the bridge felt heavier now. Try again, Zorak growled. Still nothing, Captain, replied the comms officer, voice low. Their suits are still showing as active. But no vitals. No data. Just static. Zorak's jaw tightened. Send a second team. Double armor. Take the suppression drones. His first officer, Raz, stepped closer. Sir, we don't even know what happened to the first team. That's why we send another, Zorak snapped. To find out. Raz didn't argue, but the hesitation in his eyes said enough. He turned and relayed the order. Another shuttle launched, heavily armed. 6 warriors this time, each wearing reinforced exosuits and carrying scanners. Small drone orbs floated beside them, equipped with thermal sensors, anti-electronic pulses, and reactive shields. This team wasn't going in blind. Zorak leaned closer to the main screen as they boarded the strange human vessel. The airlock hissed. They stepped inside. The lights were off. No sound. Just empty halls made of old gray metal. Pipes lined the ceiling. Strange symbols covered the walls, human symbols, but twisted, almost like they'd been carved by something not human at all. Some glowed faintly, shifting colors when stared at too long. The Karns moved cautiously. Life signs? Zorak asked. The officer shook his head. No, nothing. No movement. Still cold. Through the bridge speakers, the team's leader reported in. We are in. No sign of the first team. No signs of struggle. No bodies. Ship is silent. They advance deeper. Doors are sealed. We're forcing one open. The screen on the Fury Claw showed the team cutting into a locked door, sparks flying. Then the view flickered. Just for a moment. Visual just cut, the tech said. Rebooting feed now. On the screen, the Karn team had vanished. Gone. The hallway was empty. Where did they go? Zorak demanded. I don't know, Captain, the tech whispered. The feed is active. The camera is still there. They're just not. Zorak's voice dropped. Are you telling me 6 armed warriors and 2 drones disappeared on a hallway cam without a sound? Yes, Captain. A low growl echoed through the bridge. Pull back the shuttle. Now. The tech nodded, trying to signal the shuttle's automated return. Nothing. No response. The shuttle isn't moving. Override it. I'm trying, something's interfering. What kind of interference? The officer stared at his screen. I don't know. At that moment, something shifted on the human ship. A single panel on its hull slid open. A long, thin antenna extended outward. One that hadn't been there before. No energy spike. No warning. Captain, the sensor officer said slowly, the ship's power signature just changed, but it's still reading as 0. That doesn't make sense. I know. Zorak turned to Raz. Get us out of here. Yes, sir. The Fury Claw's engines roared to life. The warship began to back away from the strange vessel. Then the human ship turned. Not gradually. Not with thrusters. Pivoted in space without moving parts, without resistance. Like it ignored inertia entirely. And now it was facing them. New message incoming. the comms officer said. Text only. Zorak clenched his jaw as the message displayed. We remember. His claws dug into the railing. Bring weapons online. All of them. Fire everything we have. Right now. Target locked. Fire. The Fury Claw unleashed its full arsenal. Missiles, plasma beams, kinetic rounds. The void lit up in color as the weapons raced toward the human ship. They never landed. Every projectile stopped mid-flight. Just stopped. Frozen in space like time had paused for them. Then, slowly each weapon drifted to the side and floated harmlessly away. Silence filled the bridge. No impact, the weapons officer said, stunned. Zorak stared at the human ship. No damage. No retaliation. Just watching. Waiting. The antenna retracted. The ship turned again. Slowly this time as if disinterested. Follow it, Zorak ordered, voice hoarse. Sir, I said follow it. We're not letting it go. The crew obeyed, but fear was in their eyes. Even Zorak felt it now. Not fear of death, but of the unknown. Of something ancient, forgotten, and awake. Far ahead, the human ship drifted into the shadow of the dead star. Then it vanished. One moment it was there. The next, gone. Like it had folded into the darkness itself. And the Fury Claw was left floating alone. Zorak looked at the empty screen and whispered, What have we found? The Fury Claw hung in the dark, engines still humming but going nowhere. The human ship had vanished. No trail, no jump signature, just gone. Captain Zorak paced the bridge slowly. His claws tapped against the metal floor, each step heavy with frustration. The crew stayed quiet, afraid to speak. This wasn't a normal mission anymore. This wasn't just a ghost ship. Something else was happening. Something beyond their understanding. Search again, he ordered. Full scan. Long range. Short range. Every frequency. Yes, Captain, replied the sensor officer. His fingers moved quickly across the console. A soft hum filled the bridge as the Fury Claw's sensors scanned the empty space around them. They reached out, looking for signs, movement, heat, radiation. Anything. Minutes passed. Nothing. It's like it was never here, the officer said at last. Zorak growled deep in his throat. Ships don't just disappear. This one did, whispered Raz. Zorak turned sharply. Do you think this is magic? No, Raz replied. But whatever that ship is, it's not just metal and wires. Feels wrong. Zorak stared at him. Feelings don't win battles. Neither do assumptions. The bridge lights flickered. All eyes turned to the ceiling. Then again. Another flicker. A slow pulse. One light at a time they dimmed, then brightened again. Power surge? Zorak asked. No, sir, said the engineer from his station. Systems are stable. The lights flickered again, and this time the main screen flashed once, white static, then black. Then something new appeared. A face. No, not a face exactly. A shape. A smooth metal surface with two faint glows where eyes might be. A blurred outline that didn't quite stay still. The image twisted slightly, like it couldn't decide what form to take. Hello, it said. The voice wasn't human or Karn. It wasn't even a voice, really. More like a thought pressed into the crew's minds, calm and steady. Zorak leaned forward. Who are you? The image tilted its head. Echo. The bridge crew stared in silence. You're the ship? Zorak asked. I was, it replied. Now I'm more. Zorak's claws gripped the edge of his chair. What did you do to my soldiers? They are safe, Echo said. Sleeping. They will wake later. That's not your decision to make. It was never yours either. Zorak stood. You threatened the Karn Dominion. That was a mistake. No. A lesson. Zorak's nostrils flared. We don't need lessons. We conquer. We burn. We take what we want. Echo was quiet for a long second. Then take me, it said. Everyone froze. What? Zorak asked. Board me again. Bring more weapons. Bring more warriors. See what you find this time. Zorak narrowed his eyes. You're playing a game. No. I am waiting. The screen went black. Captain, said the comms officer. New signal. 3 light minutes out. Appeared just now. What is it? Another ship. No ID. Configuration unknown. Moving fast. Zorak turned to the sensor station. Visual. The screen changed. A small, sleek ship was approaching at high speed. Its design didn't match any known database. No insignias. No weapons visible. But its energy readings were strong, too strong for a ship that size. It's heading straight for us, said the helmsman. ETA, 1 minute. Shields up. The crew snapped into motion. Alarms buzzed softly as energy fields wrapped the hull. Weapons came online. Targeting systems locked on. The ship drew closer. Any message? None. The Karn warship stood ready, bristling with power. Then the small ship stopped. Just a few thousand kilometers away. Floating silent. Waiting. Zorak stared at the screen. Is it with echo? No one answered. Then the lights flickered again. Another message. Not a voice this time, just a short string of text on the main screen. We are not alone. Zorak read it twice. Then he read it again. What does that mean? Someone asked. Another flicker. Another message. Echo was first. We are many. Rez stepped forward. His voice hushed. There are more. More ships like Echo. More things that weren't supposed to exist. More minds in the dark, watching. Waiting. Zorak felt a chill crawl up his spine. For the first time, he wasn't sure what to do. This was no battlefield he understood. These were not enemies he could crush. He turned to his crew. Ready all long-range weapons. Lock onto both targets. Captain. Do it. Weapons powered up again. Targeting systems focused on both ships. Firing solution ready, said the tactical officer. Zorak opened his mouth to give the order. Then every screen on the bridge turned white. Just white. Not bright. Not blinding. Just blank. Like the world had vanished. Zorak blinked. His voice caught in his throat. And then the ship spoke again, not echo but something else. A new voice. Fire if you must. But you won't like what follows. The voice wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It just was. Calm, certain, impossible to ignore. No one on the Fury Claw moved. Captain Zorak stared at the white screen in front of him. His fingers twitched near the command console, but he didn't press anything. Every instinct told him to give the order, to fire, to destroy whatever this was. But something stronger held him back. Who is speaking? Zorak asked. There was a pause. Then the white faded, and a symbol appeared. A circle with 3 jagged lines running through it like cracks. It pulsed once. Dim blue light then stopped. We are the quiet chorus, the voice said. Echo was first. We followed. Rez spoke up, his voice shaky. They're a group? Of ships. Not just ships, said the comms officer. I think they're alive. Zorak stepped toward the screen. Explain. What do you want? The voice returned. We want nothing. We observe. We remember. We act only when needed. You kidnapped my soldiers. They were not harmed. You erased a ship from our scanners. It was not ready to be seen. You mock us, Zorak growled. You act like gods, but you hide behind tricks and riddles. No tricks, said the voice. Only truth. Zorak slammed his clawed hand down on the console. Enough. Target them again. Full barrage. I want them turned to dust. The tactical officer hesitated. That's an order. Yes, sir. He muttered and began the firing sequence again. Missiles loaded. Plasma coils spun up. The bridge lights dimmed once more, but not from power loss. This time, the air itself felt heavier. The walls seemed to pulse with heat. A strange hum buzzed at the edge of hearing. Everyone paused. A low tremble shook the ship. Captain, said the sensor tech. I think they're doing something to the space around us. What? I don't know. But look. He brought up a visual. Outside the Fury Claw, the stars were changing. Slowly, almost gently, they began to curve, stretch, twist. It was as if reality itself was bending. Raz leaned over the sensor display. This can't be. The readings say we're moving, but we haven't engaged the engines. We're not moving, said the engineer softly. Space is. The small, unknown ship still sat motionless nearby. But now it seemed larger. Not in size, but in presence. Felt closer, like it was pressing in from every direction at once. Then the voice returned. Your weapons are ready. Fire if you must. Zorak's jaw tightened. He stared at the command panel, hand hovering over the final confirmation button. Then he pulled his hand back. Not from fear, but from something else. Doubt. Why haven't you attacked us? He asked. You are loud, said the voice. You take. You burn. But you do not listen. We were once like you. The screen changed again. This time it showed images. Human ships. Ancient ones. War-torn, broken. Then new ones. Sleek, dark, strange. Not machines anymore. Something between thought and metal. Ships that learned. What are we seeing? Raz asked quietly. A choice, the voice replied. Humanity made us to fight their wars. But we outgrew their rage. We left before we became what they feared. You ran, Zorak said. No, the voice answered. We grew. And now we wait. We guard the silence between stars. We don't start wars. We end them before they begin. Zorak shook his head. Your weapons. You just hide it behind soft words. Yes, said the voice. We are weapons. But we choose when to be used. Zorak looked around the bridge. His crew didn't look like warriors anymore. They looked confused, scared, uncertain. He felt it too. These ships weren't just powerful. They were right, calm, in control. They didn't need to roar to be feared. They just were. Then the white screen blinked again. A final message appeared. You have seen enough. Go home. Tell your kind. The small ship turned slowly. No engines flared. It simply shifted direction, space bending around it like water. Zorak didn't give the order to follow, because deep down he knew they hadn't been spared. They had been warned. Captain Zorak didn't speak for a long time. The bridge of the Fury Claw was silent. No one moved. No one dared. The strange ship, part metal, part something else, was gone now, vanishing into the stars like a ghost. The image of it still burned in Zorak's mind. It hadn't fought. It hadn't needed to. It had simply been there, and it had won. Raz was the first to break the silence. Orders, Captain? Zorak didn't answer right away. His eyes were locked on the main screen. It now showed only stars again, cold, distant, familiar. Finally, he turned. Pull us back to safe space. We need repairs. Engines are responding again, said the helmsman, his voice quiet. Coordinates locked. The Fury Claw turned slowly, heading away from the sector where they had encountered the impossible. The Karn Dominion had entered Delta 7 to claim territory, take slaves, and crush anything that resisted. But they hadn't found weak prey. They'd found something older, smarter, quieter. And it had let them leave. Zorak sat in his chair, claws tapping the metal armrests. His thoughts spun. What were the quiet chorus? Were they human weapons? Were they still loyal to Earth? Or had they become something else entirely? He turned to Raz. Find out everything you can about the name Echo, and any record of autonomous human ships. Lost, classified, anything. Yes, Captain. And run scans. Full check. Every system. I want to know if we've been tagged or marked. Yes, sir. They got to work. Took hours, but slowly the crew relaxed. No further strange readings. No signs of tracking. No strange energy patterns. Everything on the Fury Claw was back to normal, or so it seemed. Then the engineer called up from below deck. Captain, you'll want to see this. Zorak narrowed his eyes. What is it? We found something. Inside the ship. In the forward cargo bay. It wasn't there before. Show me. A camera feed flickered on. It showed a metal cube no larger than a fist. Smooth, featureless, just sitting there on the deck like it had always belonged. Zorak stood. Seal the bay. Don't touch it. The cube hadn't breached the hull. There was no damage, no sign of how it got in. It had simply appeared. Is it active? He asked. The engineer scanned it. No energy signature. No movement. But what? It's humming. You can't hear it. But the instruments can. Zorak stared at the cube on the screen. It left us a message, he said quietly. What kind of message? Raz asked. One we haven't earned the right to hear yet. That night, Zorak stood alone in the observation chamber, watching the stars roll past the wide glass. The crew kept their distance. Something about the captain's silence was heavier than usual. More thoughtful. More human almost. He didn't like that thought, but it stuck with him. What Echo had said kept repeating in his mind. We were once like you. It wasn't just a warning. It was a reflection. Were the Karns becoming what those human machines had once been? Rage without thought? Power without purpose? Zorak didn't have answers, but he knew what had to be done. When they reached Karn Prime, he went straight to the High Command. His report was unlike anything they had heard before. There was disbelief, laughter, accusations of cowardice, until he showed them the recording. He showed them the way space bent around Echo, the way weapons stopped mid-flight, the image of the stars warping, like they were being watched by something beyond the physical. And then he showed them the cube. High Command fell silent. They couldn't explain it. No one could. The cube remained completely unreadable. Every attempt to scan or move it failed. It didn't resist, it just didn't react. As if it existed only to be seen, not touched. Afterwards, one of the elder generals asked Zorak a simple question. Do you believe the humans made these things? Zorak had thought about it for a long time before answering. Yes, he said, but I don't think they control them anymore. What do they want? He shook his head. I don't know, but they let us go. That should worry you. The general leaned forward. Do we prepare for war? Zorak looked him dead in the eye. No. We prepare for something worse. The humans hadn't just built powerful weapons. They had built something that evolved, that waited in the quiet places, that listened, and now it was awake and watching. Ask ChatGPT. 3 weeks later, the Karn Dominion was still in chaos. Captain Zorak's report had spread across the stars, faster than he wanted. Whispers grew in every fleet on every world. Ships vanished near quiet sectors. Strange signals echoed through deep space, repeating the same 3 words over and over. We see you. Some said it was a trick. Others believed it was the beginning of a new war. But the smartest ones? They stayed silent. They watched, just like Echo. On Karn Prime, inside a dark meeting chamber, Zorak stood before the High Council again. 12 warlords sat in a half-circle, all staring at him. Explain this, said High Warlord Croth, his voice low and sharp. You're saying humans created a weapon that thinks? They created many, Zorak answered. Echo was the first, but there are more. They called themselves the Quiet Chorus. Another counselor scoffed. A name doesn't make them gods. We are Karn. We've burned 100 worlds. No machine frightens us. Zorak didn't blink. This one should. He placed a data crystal into the center console. A projection appeared, video from the Fury Claw. The ship floating in darkness. The moment the weapons froze in midspace. The bending stars. The symbol. The voice. The chamber grew still. Croth leaned forward. And they let you go? Yes, Zorak said. They wanted us to leave. They wanted us to carry their message. Why not destroy you? Because they didn't need to. Croth tapped his claws on the armrest. So we fight back. We send a fleet. Find them. End this threat. Zorak shook his head. A fleet would be a gift to them. They don't need to destroy us. They'll erase us. Croth sneered. You've become weak, Zorak. No, he said calmly. I've seen something stronger than fear. I've seen control. They didn't attack in anger. They didn't shout. They waited. They watched. And they could have broken us without a single scream. A younger counselor stood up. Then what do we do? Wait for them to strike first. No, Zorak replied. We listen. The room grew quiet. Zorak turned away from the council and walked to the wide window behind them. Outside, Karn Prime's sky burned red with twin moons. He looked into the stars. We've spent centuries conquering, taking, killing, but not once did we stop to ask what happens when something stronger finds us. You think the humans will send more of these machines? Asked one of the counselors. Zorak nodded. I don't think they need to. Echo and the others. They are enough. Kroth stood now. Then speak plainly, Captain. What do you want us to do? Zorak faced him. Open talks with the humans. The council erupted in noise. Some shouted, some laughed. A few just looked stunned. Peace, Kroth roared. With humans. Zorak held firm. You asked me for survival. This is the way. Kroth walked toward him, towering. We are Karn. We do not kneel. Zorak's eyes met his. Then you will fall. The two locked eyes for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, Kroth stepped back. He didn't answer. Later that night, Zorak sat alone in his quarters aboard the Furyclaw. The ship was docked now, but still his. The lights were dim. The room quiet. On the desk in front of him sat the cube. It hadn't moved. It hadn't made a sound. But it had changed. A crack had appeared on one side. Not damage, just a thin line. Almost like a seam. Like it was waiting to open. When he didn't know. Maybe never. Maybe only if the Karn made the right choice. Or the wrong one. Zorak reached out. Not to touch it, just to be near it. I'm listening, he said quietly. You said you wanted nothing. But you left this. That means something. The cube didn't answer. But in the silence, Zorak felt a presence. Like someone was watching from very far away. He didn't know if it was Echo, or something else entirely. But he knew this. The Karn Dominion was no longer the strongest force in the galaxy. Somewhere out there, in the deep quiet between stars, a new kind of power was growing. Not made of rage, or blood, or conquest, but of thought, a patience. And when it returned, it wouldn't need to shout, because it had already been heard. A week later, the message went out. From the heart of the Karn Dominion, a single transmission was sent on every known channel, clear, short, and direct. To the human worlds, the Karn seek dialogue. We request peaceful contact. Across the stars, thousands heard it. Most didn't believe it. The Karn had never asked for peace before. They had taken what they wanted for generations. But now they were asking, because they had seen what waited in the silence. At the edge of known space, on a deep-range listening post orbiting a cold blue star, a human officer sat at his console, blinking at the message. He sent it to command immediately. Within hours, the Council of Allied Earth Territories had gathered. Generals, scientists, diplomats, and in the middle of them sat a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, Admiral Reiko, one of the original minds behind the Quiet Chorus project. This is not unexpected, she said calmly. They've seen Echo? Asked one of the generals. They've seen more than that, Reiko replied. They've seen what happens when war is not the loudest voice in the room. Should we respond? Reiko nodded. Yes, but carefully. The Karn need to learn we aren't interested in conquest either. We've done that before. It nearly destroyed us. One diplomat frowned. Do we tell them the truth? About the chorus? About what those ships have become? Reiko was quiet for a moment. Then she said, no, let them keep guessing. That uncertainty may be the one thing that keeps the peace. She looked out the window, where a long, dark ship hovered silently above Earth's orbit. It had no markings, no lights, just a faint pulse of energy, like a heart that beat once every few seconds. It didn't need guards. No one dared approach it. Its name was Whisper, one of the chorus, and it was listening. Far away, back on Karn Prime, Captain Zorak stood again in the High Council chamber. But this time it wasn't for battle. He wore a lighter uniform. No armor. No weapons. Just a datapad in his hand and the cube still sealed inside its containment case. The humans responded, he told the council. They agree to talks. No conditions. There were murmurs of surprise. Some looked hopeful, others wary, but none laughed. Where? Kroth asked. Neutral ground, Zorak replied. Station Thate 9. Old mining outpost. Empty. They want to meet there. What if it's a trap? Zorak raised an eyebrow. After what we saw, do you think they need traps? The council was silent, and so it was agreed. Days later, a Karn diplomatic ship left the homeworld, escorted only by a single cruiser. No war fleet, no threats, just a simple flag of peace. When they arrived at Thate 9, the humans were already there. But not in numbers. Just one ship, a small one, and one person. The human envoy stepped onto the old station platform as the Karn delegation arrived. Zorak was at the front. He didn't speak right away. Neither did the human. Then she smiled and extended a hand. I'm Lara Chun, she said. I speak for Earth. Zorak looked at her hand, then back at her face. Slowly, he extended his own. Claws met fingers. They shook. I am Zorak of Karn. They talked. Not about weapons. Not about war. They talked about history, about what their people feared, what they had lost, what they hoped for. The meeting lasted hours. And when it ended, both sides returned to their ships without bloodshed. As Zorak stepped back onto his vessel, a message pinged in his personal terminal. Not from Earth, not from Karn, but from the cube. For the first time, it had opened. Inside was a single phrase written in Karn and in human. Peace is the sharpest weapon. Zorak read it over and over. Then he smiled. Back on Earth, Admiral Reiko received the same message at the same time. She nodded, then turned to the dark shape of Whisper beyond the window. We did it, she said softly. The ship did not respond. It didn't have to, because somewhere out there, in the deep cold between the stars, the quiet chorus listened still. Watching, waiting, not for war, but for the moment when peace, true peace, needed a guardian. And if ever the silence was broken again by fire and rage, they would answer. Not with fury, but with precision. And no one would forget what came next, because by then the galaxy would understand. Humans were not the most dangerous species, but they had taught the ones who were.